Okay, so today we're going to be removing the door panel from a 2014 CTS. This one has the optional blinds as well. Not going to make a difference, but just figured I would mention it. So let's go ahead and get started. First off, these are the tools we need. Just a long screwdriver, a plastic tool, a 10mm, and also a sharp screwdriver. So first thing, we're going to remove this. There's a little tab over there, you just pop it out. Next on, we're gonna remove this part because we're gonna have two screws over here. We're gonna remove those and then that's it. We'll be able to pry it out. Okay, this is out. Next, I'm gonna remove this part. So you gotta use a prying tool and grab the end of it and then just pull because it has clips. Now you can also use the tool to pry it just to make sure you're not gonna rip it off. And there you have it, simple as that. Now we're gonna use the 10mm and unscrew 3 of these bolts. Alright, that one's done. We got one over here, right on the end of the handle. And we got another one over here, right by the window switch. Okay, that's done. We're gonna put the screws aside so I don't lose them. Alright, can't get to those, but whatever. Now we gotta pry the bottom of it. So we're gonna use our prying tool again. And there's a few clips. There we go. Alright, now that that's done, here comes the more difficult part. So, it's a bit difficult to see, but see those? Those have to be pried open, and I'm using my big screwdriver to do that. It's just easier. Right, it's not focusing right. There we go. There we go. So there's like 4 of these. See, there's a few more. So just do that along the length of it, and that should be it. Oopsie. Okay, nothing broke, but I should have unplugged this first and also that single plug before doing that. I forgot that it's gonna drop. So this, you just press on this tab and then it's out. And over here we have a plug. And there we have it, all done. It would have been perfect if I hadn't forgotten to unplug those. Okay, that's it, 5 minutes. That's all it takes. So to remove the front door panels, it's essentially the same as the rear. There's a tiny hole over there. You gotta pop this plastic piece out. Then we're gonna have to remove this. Let me just zoom out a bit. We're gonna have to remove this, and then we're gonna have a few screws. There's one over here somewhere. Okay, oh, there it is. Right over there. That's a 10mm. We're gonna have another one over here, and then 2 more one over there, like one over there. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Let me grab a few of my tools here. Alright, so first let's remove this. So this is out. I'm gonna set it aside. And now we're gonna remove this. I'll use a prying tool. Just stick it in there. Right. I think the prying tool that I have is a bit weak. Keeps bending. There we go, finally got it. And then just wiggle it and pull towards you. And there you have it. Now, let's remove the 10 mils. So, one of them is over here. We got another one over here. Another one at the bottom. Okay, and then the one at the top. All done. We're not going to need any more tools. Just pull. Okay. Sounds pretty nasty, but I don't think anything broke. And use the trick that I told you about the rear door. You have to unclip the clips from the very top. Okay, once you unclip the last one, make sure to hold on to the door and remove these cables. So you have the door latching thing, and then you have these two, and I believe that is it. So let me go ahead and unclip those. Okay, so the trim has been removed. Now we're just gonna take a look at the ambient lighting tube, which is right over there. That's the original one. That's what we're gonna have to remove. Unfortunately, fortunately, I do have the blinds, but it seems that they are in the way, so I'm gonna have to remove the blinds. There's a few screws here and there. We'll remove those, remove the blind, and then we'll be able to access this cable which goes to the ambient lighting. So let's go ahead and do that then. Okay, so all the screws have been removed. Surprisingly enough, this has more screws than the entire door panel. So yeah, let's put this aside over there by the trim. And now we can clearly see the ambient lighting tube over here, everywhere. And this is the light. So these are the wires that go to the light. These are 12 volt. So we're going to power this up in just a few moments. We're going to use the original wires, so no modifications needed. However, we are going to have to fit one of these. So we'll see where we can find a place to do that. All right. Well, let's remove this entire assembly then. So we'll try to remove it without breaking it, just in case. Just in case we gotta put it back. Okay. Let's get to it then. I believe by using a small screwdriver, we should be able to pop it out, and I think this is the end. Let me just check real quick. It seems like it. So let's pull on these tabs. Okay. Alright, so it's a bit difficult to do it with the camera, so let me see. Alright, let's try it this way. Okay, well, I'm gonna need 3 hands for this. Okay, well, I can't do it with the camera, so just try to pry those out, then it should be fine. Okay, so now this is the LED. It's basically a single module, and it feeds light through this entire piece of glass, I would assume, or plastic, I don't know what it is. But in any case, that's what we have to remove. I already tried to pry one side and it did work. So now this is off. See, it's moving around there. We're gonna have to do the same over with the whole thing. Well, that came out easy. Right, so I guess it's off. And now we'll just have to remove this. And the entire assembly should be off. And it is. Okay, let's see how we're gonna pull this out. There it is. It seems like it's a piece of glass. Very interesting. Okay, now how do I remove this? Let's see if there's a plug or something like that. It doesn't seem like it. Well, there might be. Okay. Well, this has to be removed, so we're gonna do that now. Okay, so I removed the LED, and there's basically a clip right over there. I pulled up on that. Where is it? That's it, right there. I pulled up on that, and then I was able to remove the original tube for the for the ambient lighting. And there's a clip over here which you can unplug, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to cut this cable right over there, and I'll install the RGB module, which is right over here somewhere. This thing, I'm going to put it over here. It seems like a good spot. I don't think it's gonna bother anyone, so I'll just put this here, and then our ambient lighting back where the old one was, and it's gonna plug into this, and we should be good to go. So let's get started. Okay, so I cut up a piece of the LED of the new one. I cut it up to size. I just measured, I put it beside this one, the old one, so then it's pretty straightforward. And instead of putting the strip in between these clips like it was before, I just lifted that bottom one, and technically it's really tight now, so I just lift the bottom one and then put the new LED underneath it. So it's really tight. I'm gonna do that with all of them, and then we're gonna put on the trim and test it out. What we're gonna do next actually is put these RGB cables. You know, they're color coded, so it's quite easy to match it up to this. See, black, green, red, and then blue. That's black, positive. And then we have plus minus. Those are going to be connected to this. So we're going to cut this up, the old control for the ambient lighting. We're going to cut it up and then install it here, and then we should be good to go. I'm going to stick this over here too. So it's going to be sitting like that. Exactly like that. Okay, let's give it a go. Okay guys, so I'm pretty much done. I pushed the LED all the way in, and I ran this cable where the old one used to be. This, I decided to not put it over there because the cable just didn't reach, the RGB cable. So I'm just going to put it over here. This was on like so, and it was, I think it was hooked onto this, like right over there. So that hole. So I pulled that off, and I'm gonna put this module right over there. In the meantime, I also connected the plus and minus cables from the 12 volt. This was from the old ambient lighting. So I'm gonna do that. I'll put it over here. I'll stick it on, and then I'll give it a test. I'm gonna put the trim back on and see if it lights up. I have a power supply, which I'm just gonna connect over here, just temporary, to see how it runs. All right. Okay, so this is the end result. It looks pretty good. Now the light isn't as even as I would like, but as you can see, the LED is there. It's visible. So you can move it around until you find the right spot. I'm probably gonna adjust it a bit later, but as of now, it looks pretty good. I would say it's fine. So the LED itself is not visible. It's just the light reflecting from the trim. If you move the trim a bit, then the light moves as well. So yeah, like I said, I'll keep adjusting, but it's not as visible in real life as it is on camera. I think it looks pretty good. We'll see how it is at night, and obviously when all the other doors are done too. Okay, so we're done with the doors. They're back on, and the LEDs are working, but you know, it's daytime, you can't really see them that good. In any case, we started on the front. I started on the front, and first off, you got to remove the trim. Now, I already disassembled it because I didn't know how to do this. So now that I do know, I'm gonna show you guys. First off, you have the trim. You pull from this corner, like you can shove like a screwdriver in there, and then start from the bottom. Watch out so you don't dent or bend this or damage it, the metal piece. So use one of these plastic tools, and then go all the way down, and it'll just come off. Oh, there we go. So it has a few clips, as you can see. All right, so we're gonna put this aside, and now we have this piece over here. This is actually being held on by two screws, one over here and then one over there. After you remove those, it's still not going to come out because, see, that hole, actually, let me zoom in a tiny bit. That hole over there, the square, is inserted into that, and it's really tight. So you have to pull on this in order for it to clear. And same situation here. You have that square over there, which is actually hooked onto this. So pull onto this, and the whole thing should come out afterwards. So just pull on the whole thing, and you'll see that it comes out. There's a few clips, just like on the trim. All right, moving on. And we have this ambient lighting. And I just started pulling on it because I didn't know how to remove it. So apparently, if you pull on it, it comes off. There's just a few clips, which is kind of cool. It's much better than the ones on the door. Let me try to use a prying tool just so I don't mess up anything here. And oh, there we go. It's a bit violent. And there we have it. That's our trim. Now, hopefully the cable's long enough, because we're going to have to hook onto those cables, and it's barely long enough. All right, so this is going to be tricky. Definitely tricky, because I got to hook onto those. Well, it is what it is. And the new LED, not sure how I'm going to make that sit on this, but I'll figure something out. Possibly just pressure it against this piece. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, this is a bit more complicated than I thought, but we'll get it done. Okay, so I extended this cable over here where the LED used to be. I'm gonna try to draw it all the way to this point where we have a lot of space, and that's where I'm gonna put the controller. And the LED will have the wires running down into the controller, and from there I'm gonna run a different cable, an RGB cable, all the way to that side so we can do that tiny pain in the ass over there. And that's it. Okay, so the cable has been run behind this trim piece over there, so I had to unscrew these, and now that's where the cable is, which is perfect because we have a lot of space over there. So I'm gonna go ahead and install everything back, including this. So I'm gonna leave everything intact. I only removed the end piece, and I'm gonna try to shove the new LED in between this and the dash itself. We'll see how that turns out. Honestly, I think it should be fine, but we'll see in a bit. Okay, so now on the other side, now the first thing I did is I removed 2 bolts. I think one over there, one over there, and then I pulled it out, and I was able to remove the whole thing without actually having to remove the trim separately. This piece of tape, I don't know where that's from. I think from me or something. Okay, whatever. Now over here, I also unplugged this because this is the original ambient lighting. We're gonna leave that there, and we're just gonna let this, I don't know, stay somewhere so it doesn't bother anything. There we go. Next up, now this is a bit tricky. Let's see if I can turn on the flash. Alright, so I'm gonna run the cable. It's gonna go down and then under the dash, and then right over here there's a bit of foam. I stuck a screwdriver from this side all the way to the other, and they do communicate. So I'm gonna run the cable through there all the way to the other side, where I'm just gonna go ahead and connect it to the original RGB controller. Unfortunately, I lost the last video where I finished off the project, but basically you see the white cable. That was the one that we extended a few minutes ago. So I connected that to the positive and negative terminals of the RGB controller. Now after that, the LED itself had pretty long cables, so I connected those directly to the controller. And from the other side, I had the LED, which had 4 cables, the RGB cables, and I connected those, ran them all the way through the car, I mean under the dashboard, and then through the main console, through that foam that I talked about, all the way up to the controller, and I connected that to the RGB terminals. And that's how they're all connected. So basically the dash is connected to just one single controller, the one on the right. The car is done. You can see the lights from the outside too, and they look pretty nice, I gotta say. Look at that. And this small part is barely visible, but you know, whatever, it's there. But the doors look really, really nice. I don't know why it picks up shadows, but in reality you don't see anything. They just look like really, really smooth. So pretty happy with the result. I think it looks great. So we live for the weekend. So we live for the weekend. Turn the music up. Just grab somebody. Get loose in the club. And get wild in the party. Till the sun comes up. All night no sleeping. Just can't get enough. So we live for the weekend.